Political violence, a mere elective, a 3.0 unit that I need to take so that I can finally leave this dark abyss of De La Salle. I joined this Cambodia and Vietnam trip, spent a couple of time, and here I am in the gates of hell. As the rainfall come down in torrents, I wonder how many have shed their tears in this abode, pleading for salvation.
We executed one on the last day. They did not have enough time to kill everybody. They said they killed these people right here. Actually, this place is not for execution. It's just for torture, interrogation, and detention. But you know, the Vietnamese troops, they fought their way into Phnom Penh on the 7th of January. So before these people, they escaped from this prison. They killed these last 14 prisoners who were inside that building A. That's why you will see the picture of those 14 prisoners, which were taken by the Vietnamese photographer. You know,
during that time.
After the Khmer Rouge all left this prison, the Vietnamese photographer came here and they saw those people in building A, and they took the photo and put on the wall. That's why you know you will see the photo of those 14 prisoners inside every room, and these are the tombs of those 14.
The searing torment starts with photography. Photography, which ought to be the solace of artists, were used as tools to capture the bestiality of men and its fatalities. A detailed autobiography comes next, a narrative of the victim's childhood until the day of his or her apprehension. As if every inch of liberty does not suffice, these prisoners were forced to strip to the last of their clothing, shackled to the walls, left to sleep while drowning in their nakedness. Beating the deadlines, reading piles of books, writing series of commentaries, this was the description of hell for me. I did not fathom how petty this notion was until I witnessed Tuol Sleng firsthand, a former high school turned security prison 21, a torture chamber. Tuol Sleng was established during the democratic Kampuchea regime in the aim of detaining people who were reckoned as potential threats to Pol Pot's reign. In the Khmer dictionary, Tuol Sleng embraces a forlorn denotation in itself, with Tuol meaning a ground which is higher in level than that around it, and Sleng, which can either mean supplying guilty or correspond to a poisonous tree.
We then in the room upstairs, big classroom first. After that, they separated them into the small cells. One room, one person. We check in the room, have a chain. The chain for the leg, and then have a box. The box is the toilet I told you. This is the room for the victim. Now he's still alive. And the reason he's still alive is when he got the former mechanic that he can repair the machine and typewriter. The machine and typewriter here didn't work, and then he can repair. That's the reason he survived. Now he's age 86 years old. And the second man, artist. So the picture that I saw you, the second building, that Pol Pot, and then not photo, artist.
Security Office 21 was Angkor's premier security institution, albeit the foundation of roughly 150 execution centers. The structures were enclosed in electrified barbed wire. Classrooms were converted into minuscule prison and torture chambers. Windows were also encrusted with iron bars to avert escapes. Point is, death through suicide was their nirvana.
And first time, one woman, he jumped from this top floor. After that, and a lot of people always jump, and then the chief of the prison, he ordered his people that work here and to prevent this. The reason they jump.
There were thousands of priests who bathed in their own blood. Only 7 survived. Their God-given skills in arts and machinery saved them.
Because they cannot fit in the pen. I told you before they bring them to kill, all the prisoners were tortured first. And some cannot fit in the pen, and then they commit suicide themselves. Like this lady, she used in pen herself. And then the reason I told you, they check them 4 times. Every time that they check, They force the prisoners stand like this and move their sword and their skirt until if the guard didn't know the victim comes to fight inside in the room, they kill the guard also. So the guard worked very hard. So 1 o'clock in the morning until 7 at night. And then 7 at night until 7 in the morning.
Even the medical unit at Tuol Sleng did not save lives. It prolonged the agony.
Yeah, they were blindfolded like this. And when they bring them to outside or to the field, always blindfolded like this and tie their hand behind. This is string, cow string or tie their hand. And then second grave, about 166, and then they cut their head. The dead body without head. They were Khmer soldier. And the grave behind here for the women and children. You will see the children, they hold the leg and hit their head against the tree. And now the tree nearby, they call killing tree.
Akin to my colleagues, I went there to finally clinch my bachelor's degree. The killing fields, however, made graduation no more than a bonus. It was political violence beyond the four walls of LS building. A horrific experience.
Right to eat, but my family no right to eat. Because they didn't want to relate it to my mother. Because of my father, my older brother, everybody know them. They were government soldiers. If they related to my mother, and then sometimes they bring them to kill, although they shoot them, network of traitors, or the family of enemies.
A soccer field-sized area sets down Pol Pot's bloodthirsty rule from 1975 to 1979. According to Yale University's Cambodia genocide program, roughly 1.7 million Cambodians, which is 21% of the country's population, were executed. 20,000 from the said population lying in the terror. From S-21, detainees were transferred to the extermination camp. It was a no way out. The memorial stupa, a glass shrine which features exhumed human skulls from the mass graves, is situated at the center of the killing field. Bullets were deemed as top-notch, while victims were reckoned as vile and undeserving of such armor. For that reason, axes, knives, and bamboo sticks were capitalized. These tools embody the sight of death. Cambodia is said to take the crown in the chronicle of 20th century horrors. As a matter of fact, a substantial chunk of its bygone days braced war, mayhem, and genocide. Nonetheless, the aftermath of these ordeals were pragmatically exploited. From torture chambers to tourist spots, the former cradled the angel of death, while the latter metamorphosed as a means for support of the living. Tourism has increased by 40% every year since 1998, says Cheng Pich, economic counselor at the Cambodian embassy in Washington, D.C. Nearly all tourists that visit Cambodia will go see Angkor Wat. Over 30% will visit the killing fields too. Capitalism does not only aid the tourist guides in generating money, but it also succors in grasping their history to a greater extent.
Why is there conflict? Have we lost our sense of humanity? What does it mean to be human? Why are there differences? Why are people willing to go certain heights to achieve their dark goals? Can we blame them? Can we say they are the products of social injustice? How much is a human life worth? Help us to be wise. Help us to understand. Help us to be critical. Make us believe there is hope. The lives of these people are not worthless. Their cries for help are not left unheard. May their souls rest in peace. Blessed be their souls, for they are now in a better place with you.
I hate to live in a world where humanity fails to blame. to the very entities that are of an activist manifestation. I just comprehend the roots of such apathy, even if I read thousands of reading about political violence. I hope I can reach out to the prayers of iniquities through a little prayer. There's nothing more horrific than seeing the remnants firsthand. It serves as a constant reminder of the pestilence brought by egocentrism and ethnocentrism. I wish all can just spread peace and not animosity.
How is it that one man can hurt a nation so much that it gets crippled? What went wrong? And what has happened to us as a human race? How could people stand by and watch as millions suffered and died? I have learned much from this experience, and I am certain of one thing. We live in a violent world. The only thing I hope for now is that these people finally find peace. I can't help but ask myself, what if things turned out differently? What if people were more vigilant? What if they were more vocal? And what if international organizations had stepped in? Would things have turned out differently? It's one thing I'd want to ask. What would you do if you could turn back time?
As this trip nears its end, political violence is no longer a mere elective. It slapped me back to reality. A 3.0 unit course made me cynical of the very being that should exhibit humanity. Yet it also made me cling to peace, filling me with gratitude that I wake up each and every day with no gunshots, an intact anatomy, and a complete family. The Socialist Republic of Vietnam, much the same as Cambodia, has its own share of political violence. From the acts of violence as executions, massacres, torture, and ritual sacrifices that circumscribe the nature of life in prehistory. Their colonization under the brute hands of the French in the mid-19th century, and the day-to-day narratives of political violence, which do not necessarily entail physical harm. According to Contreras 2017, first and foremost, political violence pertains to the violence perpetrated by either persons or governments to achieve political goals.
I went here in the hopes of graduating, to wear my toga, throw my own graduation cap, and have a photo with my mom and dad, with LS or Henry C. Building as our backdrop. As I go back to the Philippines, I am bringing home a new version of myself, one that is not naive of the political violence that perhaps transpires as I voice out my thoughts.
This citizen video shows a violent clash last month between police and farmers near Vietnam's capital, Hanoi. The villagers are trying to prevent authorities from confiscating their land for a massive real estate development project. Sources told RFA that about 5 villagers were arrested. Authorities began seizing the Dong Noi property 5 years ago, but villagers say the seizure is illegal. Hundreds of families have refused compensation, saying the amount they have been offered is inadequate. Dong Noi villagers have staged numerous demonstrations to protest the land confiscation. A few dozen gathered at a Hanoi police station this week to call for the release of farmers arrested in last month's clash.
The land that my family inherited from our ancestors for 1,000 generations has been taken. Because of greed, the authorities have acted inhumanely. We ask the Public Security Ministry to release our innocent villagers.
Unrest linked to land seizures has become increasingly common as Vietnam pursues market-oriented economic reforms.
says a lot about Phnom Penh that this Taiwanese, hardened in LA and New York, can roam the streets as self-appointed sheriff.
Anybody can come in here. Any degenerate person can come in here. Nobody ever stops anybody at the airport.
And that can mean trouble. Their weapons are military issue, but they have no official status or legal standing. Victor's so-called Eagle Force is nothing more than a band of vigilantes. This is not community policing, this is simply taking care of business. As proof of Victor's street clout, he orders the army in to help end the standoff. One of Victor's clients was being shaken down by the real authorities, government MPs.
You didn't give him. He asked for money, but you didn't give it to him. Right? Okay, so after that, he didn't, when you didn't give him money, what did he do? Did he hold you? He don't let you leave. Okay. Which one is this that did this to you?
Only in today's Phnom Penh could Victor's vigilantes get away with standing over troops.
What is your unit? What is your unit? Who's your commander?
The reason is simple. He's paying off the bosses.
On this street, I'm in charge of the security. The soldiers are my backup. They know that very well because we made sure of that over the years.
But isn't it a risk for you to start mixing with the soldiers? And when the soldiers are trying to get money out of people, isn't that dangerous for you guys?
No, because we take care of them in a different way.
Taking care of the right connections and paying off the right people in this free-for-all can be a license to print money.
I'm simply trying to create a safe haven for my entertainment kingdom. And I'm the super cop that's going to make sure that's going to happen.
Quiet night? Busy night?
Yep. It should be a usual night. Okay, gentlemen. Okay?
The jewel in Victor's kingdom is here, Phnom Penh's hottest nightclub. The Manhattan is Victor's own private Disneyland, a 7-night-a-week dollar earner where Victor is king. In many ways, it mirrors the new Cambodia, a haven for drugs and gangs. It's a new meeting place for some of Asia's most wanted, where Chinese mafia bosses toast deals with Cambodian generals, while Vietnamese prostitutes mix ecstasy with offers of night-long friendship. The only rule, no weapons, but VIPs are allowed to bring in 2 bodyguards each, and the sensible ones usually do. It's an unashamed showcase of international gangsterism that this cash-starved country not only tolerates, it invites. But under the rule of this man, powerful second Prime Minister Hun Sen, anything goes. After running the country for years and losing the last election, this Cambodian strongman last year used tanks to retake total power. His political domination gives him enormous commercial clout, but questioning that authority is an unhealthy pursuit. Last time I saw him, he told me to get shot in the head.
You can go to
In fact, under Hun Sen, violence is such a way of life that death can still come at any time. In the heart of the city, next to a children's playground, someone throws a grenade. Among the first to arrive, we find chaos and panic. This woman's husband was innocently riding by when shrapnel came in. Life drains away as ambulances take minutes to arrive.
So the French call us undo China's countries. There are 3 countries, India, Laos and Vietnam. But if we talk about undo China, it means all the countries between India and China. Not only between all the countries between India and China.
are called Indo-China. But for the Indo-China Association, we came there now in Vietnam. It's called by French. So you know, when the people, when one country under another country, it was not an easy life. So we pay for the French. So the French forced us to pay the tax. And you know, from one day to one day, we pay more and more money to the French. You know, there was one story in 1925. You know, in a village, the Contreras village in Cambodia, those people were very angry with the French because they worked very hard, but all those money just paid to the French. And then they killed one French named Magallones in that village. And after that, you know, the French were angry with those villagers. And then they arrested those people. And then, you know, the French forced the king to change the name of the village into the wild animal village. Wild animal village. Wild animal means the animal, like the people like the wild animal. The W-I-L-D. Yeah. So the people were called animal by the French. So you know, they were very angry with the French government. So from that time, there was the struggling emerged. The struggling movement emerged against the French in Indochina, not only in Cambodia, in Laos, also in Vietnam. Well, the start of the struggling movement emerged like since 1925, and then until 1941, you know, the French, they were busy fighting with Germany during the Second World War. During the World War. So at that time, they let Japanese to come to take control of Indochina. So after the French left, we did not get independence, but Japanese came and took control of Indochina after French. And you know, the Japanese at that time were very aggressive. Do you think so? Yeah, Japanese were aggressive. It's completely different from now. But now they are polite. Very polite, so kind, very respectful. But you know, at that time during the World War, they were very aggressive. They have the women in Indochina, and they forced the adults to build like the airport, to build some roads, and also they took the rights from Kenneth people just to support to the soldiers during the World War. So when we were under French, it was not an easy life, and then under Japanese, it was the same. So they were fighting against the French, and after that fighting against the Japanese. And you know, also in 1941, Ho Chi Minh, yeah, very famous man, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnamese communist leader. You know the meaning of Ho Chi Minh? It was not his real name. The meaning is the enlightened one. Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And like Pol Pot, the leader during the Khmer Rouge regime, was not the real name also. I will have a biography of Pol Pot later. It means political potential. Because you know P-O-L, Pol, P-O-T, Pot. Pol Pot means political potential. It was not his real name. So those people, they never used the real name. The communists, mostly in secret. That's why, you know, they call themselves Angka. No one knows who were the Angka. Yeah. So Ho Chi Minh created the Communist Party in Vietnam. It was called Indo-Chinese Communist Party since 1941. And at that time, Cambodia, Laos, were the member of this party against Japanese. Right? And then until 1945, so we were under Japanese from 1941 to 1945. You know, Japanese, they lost the Second World War because their cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, were bombed by Americans.
That's why, they lost the Second World War in 1945. And then they have the country in Indochina to get independence. But, what happened next? The French came back. So we did not get independence. After Japanese left Indochina, the French came back in 1945. So from 1945, it was called the First Indochina War between the communists and the French. The Vietnamese led by Ho Chi Minh. Again, the French were called the First Indochina War from 1945 to 1954. Right, so after that, the French left Indochina, they withdrew the war to Indochina. And then, from that time, Vietnam was divided into two parts, the North and the South Vietnam. Yeah, because the North was communist. There were many communist people there. So, according to the agreement by those powerful countries, American, French, England, they decided to divide the country into two blocks, the communist and the anti-communist. And the South was anti-communist, supported by Americans. And the North Vietnam was communist, supported by who? Which country? China and Russia. Well, so Pol Pot, political potential. His real name is Salat So. Salat So. Yeah. In your language? Oh, really? Salat here is like no meaning, and So means white color. So Salat So. Yeah. But his his revolutionary name was Pol Pot. So Pol Pot was born in a wealthy family in a province in the center of Cambodia. There are 24 provinces, and he was born in Kampong Thom province. It's in the center of Cambodia in a wealthy family. That's why when he was 6 years old, he came to study in Phnom Penh in a famous French school. And then he also got scholarship to study in France in 1949 because his family was rich. And also another thing, his sister was a concubine. That's why of the previous king. Yeah. So his sister had a position, a concubine in the royal palace. That's why Pol Pot got scholarship to study in France, even he was not an outstanding student. Not really an outstanding student, but he was awarded because maybe the connection of the royal family, that's the reason. And then, in France, he chose radio transmission as his subject. But radio transmission. But in France, he always read the books about communism. He did not study much about his subject, and he also joined the communist activities there in France. And then one day, the French government found out that he was one of the communist men. That's why they sent him back in 1953. So he came back to Cambodia. He joined the Communist Party, the one that created by Ho Chi Minh. Actually, at first created by Ho Chi Minh, but there were some members in Cambodia. They created the party in Cambodia and in Laos. So Pol Pot joined this Communist Party in Cambodia. And he also taught geography and history. So we can say he was one of the main members in the party. He knows the geography of Cambodia and history of Cambodia and about communism. That's why you can say he was one of the main members. And Pol Pot used to visit the palace. Because in the palace there are some parts that we are not allowed to see. But Pol Pot saw that places. So in the palace he may saw like the rich people, something related to the corruption, capitalism.
So it may just keep in his mind that the people in the city, in the palace, with a good lifestyle, comfortable house, but the people in the village were poor and that work very hard. So maybe it's always keep in his mind. And then he used to visit Russia also. You know what happened when he visited Russia? He saw something like great. Because in Russia, it's a communist also, right? But it was much better than in Cambodia. The farmers were poor, the rich were getting richer. But in Russia, they had a better life. So Pol Pot wanted to change the country into the communist country, like in Russia. And the people would have the same rights. No rich, no poor, no exploitation. That's the reason that after Pol Pot and some other leaders took control of Cambodia, they forced all the people from the city.
Genocide, rebellion, civil wars, revolution, terrorism, and other forms of violence targeting specific groups, such as cultural groups as well as other marginalized identities, such as gays and lesbians, have emerged as blots in the history of human civilization. Yet, according to Martin Luther King, returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. In the world of politics in which some individuals end up as winners and losers, on the basis of who has more power and who has less, political violence, whether in the form of bloodshed or psychological torture, has become a necessary evil.
Thank you, Dr. Contreras, for giving us, your students, an opportunity of a lifetime. Never will we be able to, at any point of our lives, visit these historical places without you. You will be the only professor who will give his students such an opportunity. We are truly grateful for being a part of your class.